to our Help for Hosts training. We're going to shoot 8 small 10-minute clips just to explain everything to you and questions that you might have. The first one is how to use your material. You received at the host orientation small group DVDs. You received a small group curriculum, and you received this training material that you want you to watch. So maybe just how to use your material. Every small group consists out of 6 elements. Okay, so this is how it's going to work. You are going to start, and you will see this in your small group curriculum. We designed, or not designed, actually we saw great icebreakers on Google. Okay, so you're going to start the evening with an icebreaker. This shouldn't take like 20 minutes, but it's really important for you guys to get to know each other, and we designed the icebreakers so that you can get to know each other. What do everyone like, what's hobbies and habits and families and stuff like that. So every icebreaker is designed so that you can get to know the people in your group even more. You might already have a relationship, but they will get to know each other, because sometimes the host is the only one that knows everyone. So that's icebreakers. Take the first time in the small group to start with an icebreaker. It settles everyone in. If there's laughter, that's great. People then easily open up. Actually, it's amazing how humor works with our hearts. And so start with the icebreaker. That's the first element. Then second is the check-ins. The check-ins is literally 1 minute each person. Okay, you need to say this, because otherwise the extroverts will speak 5 minutes and the introverts 10 seconds. You need to say, listen, in a minute, 1 minute, tell us the highlight and the low point of your week. And normally there you can see what's happening in everyone's life. You might not do that at the start, but rather from week 3 and 4 and 5, when you guys get to know each other. So in the beginning, the first check-ins, week 1 and 2, is just, what's your name, what do you study, and if you were a fruit, what would you call yourself? Or what fruit would you be? Okay, it's amazing how people, or if you were an animal, why would you be that animal? It's amazing how people come, how they say stuff about themselves when we play these games with them. But we've designed icebreakers for you. We've designed the check-ins for you. So just read your material. But this is for building relationship. This is really important for your group, because this will form your group, and it will be a place where they feel safe, and we want that. Then after the check-ins, you put in the DVD. You need a laptop. You need something that you can play it from. You don't have to have a TV. If you do, great. A laptop is fine. Put it in, play the DVD, and just before you do that, pray. Okay, so it's icebreaker, check-ins, host prayer. If you say, listen, I don't know how to do that, we actually wrote out a prayer for you on the small group curriculum. So you just pray that prayer. Very simple, not long, not spiritual, very simple, very down to earth. Lord, thank you. Thank you for the fact that you are good, that you've gathered us, that we want to hear your word, and we pray for our hearts that it will be open in Jesus' name. Amen. Then you put on the DVD. The DVDs will not be longer than 25 minutes. It varies from 25 minutes. And then there will be questions. Okay, the questions is 4 questions that is aimed at making this topic relevant for them. What's going on in their heart concerning this topic? So we need to do that, and all you have to do is you just read the question. Okay. It's maybe a good idea just to write down the 4 questions for yourself before the evening starts, because to read it like this, it looks a bit, not that great. So if you can write them down and ask them, like I said, the reason for the questions is to get to their heart, what's going on in their life, to stimulate discussion. You are only a facilitator. Okay? You're a facilitator. That means you don't preach, you don't teach, you don't, you don't have to have this massive revelations. You only facilitate the discussion. So you pose the question, you ask the question, you say, this is what, what do you feel about this, or what? And then you leave them to discuss it. And you can maybe not to throw it open for them to decide, because you will have those who talk first a lot, the extroverts. So ask someone, say this, I want to ask this question, Nikki, what do you think? Johan, what do you think? Vicky, what do you say about this? So just facilitate the discussion. And what's important is that you will share from your own life as well. Once the questions get a bit deeper, the third or the fourth question, if the question seems deep to you, then you need to break the ice and be vulnerable. Okay, this is very, very important. If they see you share out of your own life and share vulnerability and struggles and stuff, you're not perfect, you're not all there. That would be great. So share something from your own life. Be transparent, be open, be vulnerable before them. You ask the questions. In the beginning, the questions can be very a short time, because the people don't know each other. They won't open up in the beginning, and be patient with that. They won't share their life story. They won't do all these things. Those things take time. But you need them to share that. With each other, and then we're gonna have a practical putting it into practice. So we take the topic and we give them a sort of an assignment each week. The reason for this is, once someone starts to do what they've learned, then it settles in their heart. Okay, so putting it into practice is a challenge. Like the first session with a loving father is for them to SMS or WhatsApp or send a message or write a letter to someone that they know need this message. Okay, so that's putting it into practice, and that's important because it shows them, that they need to do what they've just heard, and it settles it in their heart. So that is the 6 elements of your small group, how to use your material. It's really easy. It's not hard work. It mustn't take more than 20 to 30 minutes for you to just read through everything, prepare yourself, and maybe even in your quiet time or in a break somewhere at work or somewhere between classes, you can read through the small group curriculum for that session, and just then think of your group, think of how it's going to work, and then you go for it in the evening. It must be a little preparation, and it must be a joy for you. Okay, so not a burden, a joy. That's why we wrote everything out for you. Okay guys, so that's how you use your material. Awesome. The title is Be Okay with Inviting Your Friends. So let me just say this. All of you who signed up for Host, we're so proud of you guys. You have done an amazing thing to step out and say, Lord, I want to be used. I'm willing to be used. Okay, so that's the first step, and you've done well. There's 90 of you guys all over Potchefstroom that's going to start groups, and we're so proud of you. The second thing that you need to do now after your host orientation is to start to invite your friends. And this might be the most difficult thing of this whole campaign. It's inviting your friends, okay? Because we fear the rejection when they say no. And I'm going to speak about that the next session. And we don't know who to ask. So maybe, who should you ask? Let's start there first. You are not going to invite your friends that's already somewhere in really committed in a church, that's really living life and being involved in church. I know that all of us and all of our friends is some or other time in church. Okay, so let me just explain to you how I see unchurched people. Unchurched person is someone that's been to church. I think they've been to church already. They've maybe done Sunday school and all that, but they was in church 3 months ago. I normally, if there's a 3-month break, then they're unchurched for me. There can be even people that attend church once a month, but they just go there and they just sit and they're not involved. They don't walk in the church. They don't They're not in small groups. They're not serving in ministries. They're not involved. They're not growing. So when people are not growing, when they only attend once a blue moon, then in my head they are unchurched. When someone is actively involved and actively engaged, then we leave them. We don't invite them, bless them, let them work and serve in their church. Okay, we're not stealing other people's sheep. We want to catch fish that's in open waters. Okay, so you invite your friends that fit that description. Okay. Um, Let me just say this. When you invite your friends, you should do it with confidence, okay? If you are going to say, oh, maybe you should come to my group, no one will come. So you are going to invite them um, by being confident about the material and about what we are going to discuss for the next 6 weeks. So let me just explain to you what we're going to discuss. It depends on where your friend is at. If you have a friend that you know is kind of religious, they've got a relationship with God, but it's up and down and it's all over the place, then you say, listen, join me for the next 6 weeks. We start 14th of August, the next 6 weeks, and learn with me how to follow Jesus. The thing about an invitation is at the end of the invitation there must be a pause for a yes or a no. And when he says yes, that's a great idea, you make a mental note and you follow that up with a phone call or a SMS or a WhatsApp the week or two before you actually start your group. It's very important to also write down the friends you want to invite. Okay, write it on a card and then you pray for them. You pray for God to give you an opportunity to speak to them, for their hearts to be soft, for their hearts to be open. Prayer is a perfect thing to do before you do an invitation. Okay, so you write down the names, think about it, pray about it, who you want to invite, write down the names, and then start to invite them. I want to say this: we tend to go for the soft targets. And there's nothing wrong with the soft targets, but I want you to put out your faith for your friends, for the leaders of the group as well, for the guys that you think, oh, I don't know if they will be interested. If people say no to you, that's fine. Okay, you've asked, you've done an invitation, you've sown a seed, and no is fine. So please don't just think about everyone that's so needy that they need a friend and that's why they will come to your group. Those people, we want to invite them as well, but think about the others as well, leaders, people that influence, people that you know need this. So if it's someone that's religious and up and down, listen, learn to follow Jesus with me. If it's someone that you know are struggling with questions, tell them, listen, we're going to speak for 6 weeks about some misconceptions about God. And we're going to set them right. We're going to learn the truth. Will you join us for that? Yes, I will join you for that. Or if it's maybe a friend that you know is very lawless, very, get drunk all the time or smoke weed or whatever they do, you just tell them, listen, we're going to do a 6-week campaign on the fact that you don't need to be perfect to follow Jesus. Won't you come and visit us? Because this is all true. You need to take the angle where your friend is at for your invitation. And you need to wait for a yes and a no. And after that, if there's a yes, if there's a no, that's fine. If there's a yes, follow it up with a WhatsApp or a call. And you need a date and a time to invite them to. Okay? We are going to do the 6-week campaign or the 6-week series. I want you to join us on Wednesday at 7. Can you make that time? No or yes? If you invite people and they're all willing to come and you try to figure out a time that works for them, that's fine as well. But once you figured out a time, you stick to that time, and that's every week, that time, same time, and it doesn't have to be the same place, but the place needs to be communicated well in advance. Okay. So invite your friends, choose the angle that you know that they are at for your invitation. Pray for them beforehand, write down their names, pray over it, and just go for it. Don't wait a long time for this to happen, because you're going to be anxious and then you're just going to leave it. So just once you've you've got everything, you've looked at this, go out and invite them. Go out and be bold and invite them. Listen, for many people, if I've invited them to church, I've invited them to small groups, they've told me no, I don't think so. And that's fine, then I leave them. I love them, I leave them. I've done my part, I've invited them. Those who are hungry and thirsty and those that needs to be in your group, they will respond. Okay, God knows who He wants to place in your group, and it can work. So you need 1 or 2 people, then you've got a group. But I want you to really pray and trust God for 5 or even more friends, 10 friends, so that you can have a lekker time together. But if it's 1 or 2, that's fine, that's perfectly fine. You can even invite friends while you are in the campaign. So normally those who are there will see, listen, this is nice, we enjoy this. I'm actually going to invite some of my friends. So usually what happens is those you invite others, and then all come together. So don't be okay with inviting your friends. Be okay with if they say no to you. Have a plan, write down the names, pray over them, go out with the invitation, choose the angle that you're going to invite, and remember what they said. If they said yes, follow it up with a coffee, with a WhatsApp or with a SMS, and tell them, listen, this is the time we're going to meet. We see you there. We're so excited about this journey. If you're excited, they'll be excited. If you're not excited and not bold and not out there and going for it, they are not going to come, okay? So you need to be filled with faith that your group is going to work, okay? So be okay with inviting your friends. Thank you, guys. Be okay with no, okay? Be okay with when someone says no. Let me define failure for you guys. I said it in one of my sermons coming up to the campaign, but I want to say it again. Failure in the kingdom of God is not when someone say no. It's when we buckle under the fear. Courage is moving ahead instead of our fears. It means that you're going to be afraid before you do your first invitation. I'm still, after 12 years, inviting people to church. Every time I do an invitation, I'm like holding my heart, like, don't say no, don't say no, don't say no. And then I just go for it. So I'm still there, that I'm still fearful for the response. But I want us to just think about this. If they say no, if that's the response, it's not a failure. Failure is if we don't invite because we're afraid of the response. Okay, so you should be okay with someone saying no. Jesus had a parable. He said there's 4 kinds of ground, and this parable is very applicable on what we're doing, because you are sowing seeds. Jesus saying, listen, I'm the seed sower, I'm sowing seeds. You're sowing seeds. Some of the seeds that you sow will fall on fertile ground, and it will reproduce 30, 60, 100 times. Okay, that's what we all pray for. We pray for that. But there's 3 other types, that's 4, 3 other types of ground that you are going to sow on. And it's the rocky ground. It's where where there's so much rock and so much stuff in the people's life that seed can't fall and germinate and bring up any fruit. There's the hard ground, the path alongside the fertile ground, where it can't get into the ground and start to spread its roots and stuff. And then there is the ground where the weeds choke the seed. Okay, though it's sown, it's in the ground, it starts to germinate, and then the worries of life just choke the seed there. So what this story says is you've got 1 in 4 chances when you invite. Okay, so if someone says no, that's fine. Jesus told you, He prepared you in a sense by that parable, that 1 in 4 will say, I'm keen. So if you only invite 4 people, the chances are that 1 of them will come, and you will have 1. So if you say, I want a group of 5, you need to maybe invite about 20 people. It can be that the first 5 that you invite are all good and great and wants to get going, and that will be awesome. And then maybe you'll have 20 in your group. But it's okay if someone says no. It's not a failure. It's not because they don't like you. The other thing that we need to know is don't take stuff personal. Okay? Don't take these no's on your invitations personal. Is it because of me? Is it because I'm not a lovable, liking person? I thought this guy liked me. Someone is maybe not there. There can be various reasons for people to say no. You don't have to figure it out. The only thing you need to watch is check your own heart. Okay, don't start to doubt and be insecure when someone says no. Christ lives inside of you. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. You are a likable and a lovable person. You've set out by faith to do this. So we believe it's going to work. We believe that God is going to use you in a mighty, mighty way. So when someone say no, it's fine. It's fine. Don't take it personal. Um, don't go and do soul searching about what's happening inside of me. Don't even be mad at them, because that is sometimes what we do. We blame shift. Okay, there's no blame here, but we actually, in a sense, we start to blame them. Yeah, but this is where they're at, and we tell everyone the story. Don't do that. Just invite someone. If they say no, walk on. Go to the second one. You are sowing seed, and those in need will respond. Those who need to respond will respond. You just need to see that you sow enough seed. Okay? Don't be discouraged when the first one say no. Don't feel there's something wrong with me, I'm never going to do this. Maybe the first 4 says no, and then the 6th one say yes. I remember this story about a guy that God said, you should pray for healing at your services. And the first year, literally 52 services. John Webber, this is the guy that started the Vineyard movement. John Webber prayed for healing, and he says 52 Sundays in a row he prayed for healing, and not one person got healed. But he didn't become discouraged. He kept his faith. He kept his hope alive. And the 53rd Sunday after that, every single one from that day till the day he died that he prayed for got healed. Because there was perseverance. He kept on. He didn't give up. He didn't lose hope. He kept his faith. And it's the same with this. It might sound stupid to you now, but I tell you, when the second or the third one says no to you, you're going to start to look at yourself and start to ask questions. Don't do that. Don't go there. Just go on. Just invite some other people and be okay with the no. Okay, bless you guys. Okay, hello guys. Our topic, be okay with a slow start. Be okay with a slow start. The most important thing that you can do for your own health and the health of your group in the beginning is that you are okay with whatever happens. Okay, if your group it's slow to react, to respond, slow to open up, slow to catch things, slow to be excited, that is, you need to expect that. That is the norm. That is realistic. Sometimes people won't pitch up, and then you need to forgive them and be fine that it's gonna take time. Okay, it's not something like this. A group coming together, God working in their lives. It takes time. You need to be very, very patient. So be okay with a slow start. The biggest thing that you can do is you meet the people where they are at. Okay, and you meet them where they are at. If that is wherever, you meet them there, in a sense, emotionally, spiritually. I'm not speaking about physically. You meet them where they are at, and you are trusting God for them to take steps. Okay, to take the next step. And we will train you how to do that even further if you want. But you must be okay with a slow start. We see that Jesus in his discipleship, always when I read scripture, Mark 9 and 10, and we spoke about that in the sessions as well. You will see it on the sessions as you do the DVDs. The disciples, after a year or year and a half walking with Jesus, argue about who is the greatest. After 3 years with the Son of God, okay, you need to realize this, with a perfect man filled with the Holy Spirit. After 3 years, still all of them disowns him. That looks like a failure to the world. That looks like a failure in discipleship. It looks like he didn't influence them at all, but it turned around. He was gracious. after they all ran away from Jesus, when he wakes up from the dead, okay, when he comes back to life, he goes to them. It's so beautiful what he does to them. In I think it's Matthew 28 or John 21, he says, he goes to them while they are fishing. Peter said, I'm going fishing. I don't know what's going on here. I'm going fishing. I'm running away, in a sense. He said that. And the other said, we're joining you. And then Jesus comes to the shore. He walks on the shore and he calls them. He says, friends, friends. He's not mad. He's not impatient. This is the guys, okay? There's a lot on going on here. These 12 guys are the guys that need to take further the ministry of Jesus. He's got 40 days left, then he goes up back to heaven. And there's a lot at stake here. The salvation of the world is at stake. If they don't understand this, the purpose of Jesus coming is doomed. But he don't react in frustration. He doesn't react in sense of failure or discouraged. He calls him. He says, friends, did you catch any fish? And then he serves them breakfast. And they come back, and he speaks to them in a very loving way. So he was gracious all along. And then he said to them, Peter, you ran away, but do you love me more than fishing? Do you love me? Peter said, yes, Lord. And Jesus, in a sense, steered them to the next step, always to the next step. So you need to be gracious. You need to meet people where they're at. And let me tell you where they are going to be at. They're going to be selfish. They're going to think about their own needs. They are consumers. That's how we grow up. We go through McDonald's. We want it quick now. They are going to have everything. They are going to be extremely self-centered. And you need to be fine with that. That's not a bad thing. Don't complain and say, yeah, my group is so unspiritual. Or my group, it's the process of growing together. Stuff will change. Okay? But you need to be gracious. And you need to be fine with a slow start. We're not microwaving this. We're putting it in a slow cooker. Okay, slow cook. The relationship is the most important thing. Never burn those bridges. Never. If you are frustrated, if you're discouraged, never burn the bridges. Keep that relationships alive. Be gracious. Be patient, and walk with them. Journey with them. That's all you can do. You just love them. You just love them. Love them, and God will change them. It's not your work. Your work is not to convict them. It's the Holy Spirit's work. Your work is to love them and to testify to them, and to show them who Christ is. Okay. And if we that sounds maybe a bit daunting, because you think, listen, okay, you just give what you have. You give what you have. You need to be one step ahead of your group, and you are one step ahead if you've done the material 30 minutes before them. You're one step ahead of them. You are one step ahead of them because you signed up for this. You're taking a step of faith. So you are one step ahead of them. And all you need to do is you need to love them and to graciously take them on this journey with you. So be okay with a slow start. Don't frustrate yourself. Don't make it a burden. Don't think it should be perfect. It's going to be messy. And discipleship is messy. Groups are messy. But it works, okay? It's a perfect ground for God to work in people's life. But it's messy. It's going to be messy. There's people going to have issues. There's some stuff that you might not know how to deal with. And that's fine. You just love them. You just be gracious. And you just walk with them. Cool. Thank you, guys. Be okay with being unqualified. Our topic. Be okay with being unqualified. I wanna just encourage you guys. You might have this idea that you need to know the whole Bible. You need to know the answer to every question. And I want to tell you, I'm a pastor. This is my full-time job. There's a lot of times that people ask me questions that I've got no clue what the answer is. Okay, I hope that encourages you. And it doesn't show my inability, but I hope it encourages you. It happens a lot of time. People ask me about apologetics or science or some or other random thing, and I've got no interest in some of those things, and didn't make a study of it yet, and then I don't know the answer. And I you know what I tell them? And not once did someone um, lash out at me and said, but how can you not know this? You are the pastor. I just tell them, listen, I don't know, but I will come back to you. Okay, I will come back to you. So you don't need to be a Bible expert. You don't need to have all the questions to all the answers that all the answers to all the questions that they're going to ask. Um, Google is your friend. Okay, there's a lot of times when I don't know what a scripture means, or I don't know a meaning of a word or a question. Then I Google it, and there's amazing articles on there. Obviously, some that's bad and not necessarily the truth. So just scan through them, see if two or three of them agree on it. But there's going to be times when you feel disqualified, and maybe now, even before your group, you feel disqualified. People are not interested in how much you know. They're not interested in how holy you are. They're not interested in how perfect you are. Instead, showing them that you are a mere human, showing them that you make mistakes, showing them that you have failures is the best thing you can do for your group. Being transparent and vulnerable and very honest about what's happening and what's going on in your life is the best thing you can do, because it brings hope. They see, listen, okay, but so it's fine for me to to still work through these things. We don't ever want to, let me just say this, we don't want to give guys, I'm not telling you to give guys a license to sin, okay? I'm just saying, be honest about where you're at. Be honest about what's going on. Be vulnerable before them, and they will warm up. Their hearts will open. The best thing in preaching that I've learned is when I share out of my own life, and I'm vulnerable about where I am, the immediate response is that people think, wow, this guy is here on the pedestal, I can't really relate to him, so what he says, it's not, that applicable. But once I tell a story, they lower me onto their level. And I want that because I want them to listen to what I tell them. I want them to receive what I say. And for that to happen, sometimes I need to be very honest about what's happening in my life. So be okay with being unqualified. Um, be okay with who shows up. Be okay with who shows up. It will happen that people will tell you, we're coming to your group, and then if they're nice, they will send you an SMS the morning. If they are not so nice, they will send you an SMS, and I know you've done it, I've done it, a half an hour before, because you will see hell will break loose, and it's just a metaphor, okay? Normally when something gets started, when we you want to do something in this guy's life, they will fall and break their leg, or something strange will happen to them, and then they'll send you an SMS and half an hour before the time say, listen, this has happened, I can't come anymore. So the thing that you need to do the most is you need to be unaffected by that. You need to be okay with who shows up. If there's one person showing up and you invited 20 and 19 cancelled a half an hour before, then that is fine. You need to be okay with who shows up, and you need to serve that person still. You need to make the best coffee. You need to do whatever you plan, even if it took you a long time to prepare and to pray. That is seed in the ground, okay? So see it like that. If you've planned and prayed and done a lot of things, that's seed that you're sowing because you're serving God, okay? You are being faithful towards God, and this is your act of worship. So you see that as worship, and you be okay with who shows up. Don't be disgusted when there's one person and then say, oh, this is just one person, so we're not gonna have, we're not gonna do anything tonight. Go through with it as normal. Maybe change the icebreaker a bit, because it's going to be awkward if it's just you and someone else. But if it can work, I don't know which one is planned for the evening, then go through with it. Go through with everything. The nice thing about how we have set up this journey, the 6 weeks campaign, the series, is it won't be awkward if there's only one person, because it's a DVD that you watch, it's questions that you discuss, it's very informal. So you don't need a massive crowd to make it happen. You be okay with who show up. You serve them, you love them, you go through it as if there are hundreds of people listening to you and sitting in your living room. If it's only one, that's 100% fine. But you need to, the biggest thing is just that sense of failure, or that sense of disgust, that why is people so uncommitted, and we start to have this thing in our heart. Please stay away from that. Be okay with who you show up, and serve them, love them. Next week they'll all come again, and it would be fine. Okay, be okay with taking time to get to know each other. There's a saying in the small group world that people join because of the content, but they stay because of relationship. So relationship is actually the key to your group and to growth. How you know each other. You know what they study, the families, the names, what's going on in their lives. So don't be hesitant to spend the first 20 or 30 minutes to take time to get to know each other. It's really, really important. I want to also say a small group should never be longer than an hour and a half. Then it gets too long and it gets too much. You can have the small group, and if it needs to go to an hour and a half, it's still a long time. But then after the small group, you care. You make some more coffee. Those who need to leave can leave, and you give them a disclaimer. You say, hey, we're finished. You guys can go. If you want to stay, you want to, for the young working people, they make food together, they eat together. Their small groups tend to last 2-3 hours, and that's fine. But you do the small group. Those who need to leave can leave. Those who want to stay can stay. Okay, so be okay with taking time to get to know each other, eating together, drinking coffee together, even before and after small group. That is the things that's valuable to you. I see the coffee before a service and after a service as part of the service, because fellowship, the talking, the relationships is just as important as the content, as the scriptures we read, as the prayers we pray, as the facilitation, as the questions. Those relationships is what will stick your group together. It's the glue that will form your group, and people will stay for that relationship. So you need to facilitate that, and you need to spend time to build into them and let them know each other and get to know each other. That would be amazing. The most beautiful thing for me to see in groups is when I walk out of the group and the people start to chat and they start to care and they spend time with each other. Even if the people in the group start to braai with each other, not in small group time, but after small group, they start to be friends, they meet each other for coffee. That's very, very healthy. So be okay with spending time to get to know each other. Okay, be okay with not getting through the questions. Again, if the questions is there for people to think about what they just heard. Where am I with this topic? What is happening in my life regarding a loving father, a gracious son? What's happening in my life? And sometimes it takes one question to get someone convinced. Sometimes it takes 4. Sometimes you can ask 20 and they're not going to be there. So if you don't get through the 4 questions, that's fine. You just do 2 then. You just do 3. You just do 1. Whatever works for you. Sometimes you're going to ask 1 question and they're going to start to discuss and to speak and to open up. Don't feel that you need to do all 4 questions. If something is happening like in a normal sense, if discussion is flowing and guys are opening up and you can here and there say something and put something in, that is what we want. That's why the questions is there. The questions is there to stimulate discussion. So if discussion happens normally and it happens without you asking a lot of questions, that's what we want. So don't feel you need to ask all 4 questions. Ask those that you can do all 4, but when you see that it's going somewhere or something is happening, just let it go and let the group discuss and share their hearts and pray for each other. if they want to, or just follow the outline. That would be great. But if you don't get through all the questions, that is perfectly fine. Okay. Your support structure. Just quickly want to say this. In the beginning, you will feel that you've got a lot of questions, there's a lot of uncertainty, you don't know how stuff works. What we've done is, for every host, we've given a zone coach. Okay, the purpose of the zone coach is to support you, to care for you, to answer any question that you have, to pray with you, to do whatever you want to do to see your group work. So please, after you've watched this training and you've done your host orientation, I believe your coach, we've had meetings with them, they will contact you and say, hey, you're one of my hosts, I want to care for you, I want to pray for you, what can I pray for, who's the people you want to invite. They are there to support you and to care for you. Please don't all, I love you dearly and I'm very proud of you, but please don't all send me SMSs when you need support or stuff. There's 90 of you, it's impossible for me to get to all of you. So we said every person needs to be cared for, but no one can care for more than 10 people. So some of the coaches has got 5 people, some of the coaches has got 7 people, some's got 2 people, but there's an amount of people and all they do is to care for you. That's all they do, that's their work. So you can please press on their buttons, ask them questions, ask them for prayer, ask them for support. When they invite you for a coffee or they invite you to chat with them, or they start over WhatsApp to chat with you, please respond. It's quite important for you guys to be cared for, okay? You need to be cared for by someone. You need someone to look after you and to just help you, okay? It's not something formal, it's only for your help. So it's there for your support. If it's a big crisis, please phone me, please call me. You are more than welcome to. Our doors are open. We want everyone to feel cared for. We want everyone to be in healthy relationships, and that's why we have a support structure, so that you don't feel, listen, I'm on my own here, I don't know what to do, I've got these challenges, this group is challenging and I don't know what to do. It's there, there's a support structure for you. Please use it. Bless you guys and good luck.